Good afternoon, Louisiana, and welcome to At the Book here on NOLA.com. Jack Ewing alongside Devin Jackson, our producer, Spencer Urquhart, our guru, and we are here to talk some sports betting, some fantasy sports, and get you ready for the weekend to come. Happy Mardi Gras weekend to everyone. Hope you are enjoying the carnival season leading up to Mardi Gras next week. Jim Derry is on vacation. He is enjoying the holiday with his family. And we hope you all are able to do the same. But in the meantime, we've got some cool stuff for you. And we're going to talk about that as we go on today. We've got a lot of basketball. I don't want to say second half of the NBA season starts today because it's really more like a third or maybe even less than a third of the season to go. But it is the first day after the All-Star break that games are starting again. So we will kind of do an NBA reset. We'll talk some college basketball odds as the college basketball season just a couple of weeks away from the postseason now. And we'll also get to some NASCAR, some golf, and we'll talk some best bets, which have been a mixed bag for us. How's it going, guys?
Going good. Did best bets today. Had a good day Monday and a not so good day Tuesday. Hoping for a good one today.
Yeah. Spencer did our best bets on Monday and Tuesday, and today I did them yesterday. Made you all a little bit of money if you tailed. And we will add that as we go. Devin, I think you're trying your first hand at best bets like on Saturday. So I hope you're ready for that.
Yeah, excited about that. Really been trying to get in college basketball over the last couple of weeks and trying to get ready for the Final Four. Obviously, we have some big things planned for that. We dropped that Road to NOLA piece today as well, but very excited to see kind of what happens with college basketball and how it goes.
Got you a sneak peek of the NASCAR odds there just for a second, just fooling around with things backstage here. We do want to remind you that At the Book and all of our shows here on bet.nola.com are brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. If you sign up for the Caesar Sportsbook app today, if you haven't already done so, I don't know what you're waiting for, but if you haven't, you can bet $20 and get $300 for free. That's all you got to do is bet $20. You get $300 in your account. You can't just take it straight out. You have to bet it before you get it. But it does give you some money to play with, a $300 bonus. So go to NOLA.com/Caesars at any time and get our special offer for mobile betting. We're coming up on a month of mobile betting, guys. It was January the 28th, so I guess it'll be Monday. Lundi Gras will be our 1 month anniversary. Maybe we'll do something special for our Bayou Bets show on Monday to mark the 1 month anniversary. But let's talk a few lessons learned as we go forward here. Devin, as you've explored mobile betting, what's something you've learned that either that you're good at, that you're not good at, something that you would tell someone who's just starting?
When you put money down on some odds, really check it before you do it, and see if it's one of those, like, as Jim says, if it looks weird, it could be weird, but also check to make sure that when you're putting something down, it's not just on something that's ludicrous and won't happen or doesn't have a high likelihood of happening. But do your research and really make sure whatever you put down, you understand what you're putting down on and understand exactly what you're going to get out of it. I think it's cool to be able to have it, at the device in your hands and to be able to place on so many bets, but also take advantage of the live betting feature as well, because especially with NASCAR, I took part in that on Sunday. I was telling you guys about it.
Almost cashed in big time.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace was leading the race at one point. It was plus 2,500. So, while you may not always win big on bets like that, just being able to have that ability and that live betting ability, I think it's an underrated part of the betting, mobile betting, is being able to bet on things as they happen. Because if you see something and you feel pretty good about what's happening, especially in the NASCAR race, although things can change very quickly, I think it's very good to know that you can place bets on live bets, and if it's something you feel confident in, don't mind putting a few bucks down on it.
Yeah, we'll talk a little NASCAR as we go and how difficult that is. But besides that, Spencer, what's something you've learned over the first month of mobile betting here? I know sports betting is a fantasy sports expert. Sports betting is not something you had done a ton of before this last month. So tell us how it's going for you.
For sure. Yeah, it's going pretty well. I'd say the thing I learned was like be careful with the bonus money, and for those that do the deal, you get the 300 in bonus cash. So be careful with that. Don't just blow that all on one event. Or I mean, even if it's a sure thing, then maybe, but even if I still probably wouldn't, I'd recommend probably spreading that out and being smart with it and just using it a little bit at a time. Because if you lose it all, then you lose it. So I would say be careful with that bonus money. Don't be reckless with it. Have it like they give it to you. Yeah, it's free money, but make sure to cash in on that. Don't just let it, just go away, because then you'll just end up they just kind of wasted your time. I feel like so. Yeah, just be conscious of that, and then the live betting is fun for sure. I enjoy doing that at times, especially in the NBA games. I notice there are times where it's like, man, this line's like way out of whack. I feel like this team's going to come back and close in on that. And a lot of times they do.
Yeah, no, that's a good point as far as the bonus money. It's bonus money. You can't withdraw it, but it can become real money, right? I mean, you if you win, and that's not to say if you don't feel really strongly about something, you couldn't put it all on something, but you're talking about a much safer strategy where if you break it up into 10 different bets or even 20 different bets or 30 different bets, you're going to have a better chance of coming home with something because for every one that you win, that bonus balance goes down and your cash balance goes up. And once you get that bonus balance down to zero, whatever's left in cash, you can withdraw and you can play with, and it is real money. And so, yeah, I mean, don't just go, oh, hey, it's bonus money, I'm going to go throw it on a 100-to-1 dog. Well, I mean, congratulations if you made 30 grand out of it, but chances are, you're just going to blow it. So the other thing you said about NBA live betting, that's a great segue into what I want to spend some time on next, and that is an NBA sort of season reset. We had Christian Clark on last Thursday before the Pelicans game against the Mavericks. That was their last game before the All-Star break. Of course, we had the All-Star festivities. We talked a lot on Monday about the under-hitting in the All-Star game and how crazy that was. Well, now it's really kind of time. Every team's got 25 to 30 games left. It's time to hone in on the playoffs and who's going to get there and who's going to be the favorite. And we haven't seen a lot of change here over the last week or two. The Suns are the favorites. The Warriors are right there. And then it's a bunch of Eastern Conference teams, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami. I don't know about you guys. Spencer, I can't understand. I know Brooklyn's talented, and I know I've said this before. How they have the best odds out of the Eastern Conference is beyond me.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all Kevin Durant though. They're banking on a Kevin Durant healthy return, and I know a lot of bettors are drawn to superstars, and Kevin Durant, when he's healthy, is that dude. It's just really able to come back and be the old Kevin Durant. I mean, he's missed a lot of time now. I mean, he's missed, I think it's like 2 months. It's been forever since we've seen him out there. So it's definitely worrisome. And then Ben Simmons, who knows what he's going to be like in his return, and Kyrie Irving's still part-time. So yeah, they've got the potential, but at those odds, I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah,
I prefer
go ahead.
I much prefer like a team like the Heat at plus 1,100. And I think I mentioned them on the Monday show. They not getting much love. The Bulls. I mean, to me, teams like the Heat and the Bulls are just more complete team efforts. They've got depth. They've got young pieces. I just feel like the Nets, it's just too many egos. And it'd be hard for me to believe that they'll be able to go all the way.
And people need to hear me when I say this. I'm not saying the Nets cannot win the NBA title. Clearly, if Kevin Durant is healthy and Kyrie Irving, maybe vaccine restrictions get loosened by the playoffs or something. I mean, they've got the talent to win this thing. If Ben Simmons comes back, that's another piece. They can win it. But I am not touching them with a 39.5-foot pole at 5.5 to 1. There is zero value. There's less than zero value there. I wish I could bet that they won't win the title at minus 650 or whatever the equivalent odds would be, because they just don't have a great chance. I mean, right now the Nets would be in the dang play-in game. I mean, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs yet. So, in fact, I have a graphic here in a few minutes about odds to make the playoffs. The Nets actually aren't even guaranteed to be in the postseason at this point. So you got to be real careful with that. But besides that, Devin Jackson, what do you see here that you like?
I think there's a couple wild cards on this board. One being the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level, and we'll see how the integration with James Harden goes. But if those two guys start click and really get going here and towards the last half of the season, or not half, but the last few months of the season, I mean, they could be a dangerous duo. And Philly has a decent bench. I just kind of worry how quickly can, the 76ers get together and, kind of gel, because it's going to take some time for them to learn how to play off of each other. Joel Embiid is used to having the ball in his hands, so is James Harden. But I feel like the 76ers are the wild card on the board because Joel Embiid, when he's playing his best basketball, there's not anyone in the NBA that can defend him one-on-one. Now it's just about what other prediction are they going to get from guys like Tobias Harris and some of those role in complementary pieces, and then obviously James Harden as well. But I think 76ers are the wild card on the board, but I'm surprised that even that though the Milwaukee Bucks are not at the top of the East, they're still at plus 600 to win the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I flipped there as you were talking to Eastern Conference odds, and that's a little bit of a wider picture. You see the 76ers plus 360 to win the East. Obviously, the East is a little bit deeper this year, is what the odds tell us. But it's also that once they get to the NBA Finals, chances are you're going to be tangling with the Phoenix Suns or with the Golden State Warriors, maybe making your championship odds a little bit less. And I'll tell you one team I like on this Eastern Conference race or Eastern Conference list, and they're also a decent shout at 25-1 to win the NBA title. But I put a little money on the Boston Celtics to come out of the East at 11-1. I really like the way the Celtics are playing. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum has become a star duo. We talk about superstars, and you'd like to think of NBA teams winning titles as teams with superstars. Those two are becoming superstars, and a good supporting cast, a good coach. I think 11-1 is pretty good value there for Boston. Spencer, what say you to that?
Yeah, I could see them being a good value. I had mentioned the Bulls earlier, and I like them here at 14-1, because the thing with them is they're still playing good basketball despite battling through injuries. Zach LaVine's been banged up, but Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso have been out, but they've had guys step up like the young point guard Kobe White. They've shown that they've got depth there, and then they've got DeMar DeRozan, who's been just straight fire lately, and the big man Nikola Vucevic. I mean, they just seem like a very underrated team. Yeah, they're young, so it's going to be tough for them to get there. But with DeMar DeRozan leading the way, I mean, he's a rock-solid veteran, and Vucevic has experience, and LaVine's not terribly inexperienced. I mean, he's been in the league like 5 years, so that's probably my favorite as in terms of pure value.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of taking a star turn, DeMar DeRozan has become a superstar. And we'll talk MVP odds here in just a second. Want to go to the Western Conference first. And obviously, with the Suns and Warriors being NBA championship favorites, they're also Western Conference favorites. Don't see a ton of value here, I guess, unless you're convinced that those are going to be the two teams in the Western Conference Finals. And if that's the case, then I think what you do is you put some money on the Suns plus 190 and some money on the Warriors plus 200, and you profit either way. The danger for me would be if somebody else gets hot and or gets healthy. And what I mean by that is if the Denver Nuggets get Jamal Murray back to pair with Nikola Jokic, for instance, or Michael Porter Jr., right, all of a sudden are the Nuggets a danger? Last year I think we all sort of thought it was going to be Jazz, Lakers, Clippers at the end, and it was the Suns who came through in the Western Conference. So who knows? And then the other team down there is the Clippers. I don't know that there's a good chance Kawhi Leonard comes back. There's maybe a better chance Paul George does. But if one or both of those guys come back, now that they've got Robert Covington, Norman Powell, I put a couple dollars on them at 35-1 to win the West. I mean, you're basically banking on somebody to get healthy because as currently constructed, they're not going to do it. But Devin, am I crazy for saying, hey, if George and or Kawhi, especially if both of them were to come back, I mean, that's a dangerous team. You're sitting there at 35-1.
Yeah, well, I mean, we haven't seen both of them fully healthy in quite some time, but last time I did, I mean, Paul George was playing at an MVP level. So I don't think it's entirely crazy. The West has been pretty unpredictable this year. I know that Phoenix and Golden State are machines right now, but you got to worry about Chris Paul with the Suns, if he's going to come back healthy and how effective can he be. And he's starting to get up there in age. Golden State, we know how good they are, but you worry a little bit about their depth, and Steph Curry really hasn't played like Steph Curry over the last month of the NBA season. So, teams like the Clippers, Nuggets, they get healthy and they get a good matchup. I mean, it could be a tough series. If you look at, say Golden State matches up with the Clippers, that's a pretty good matchup for the Clippers. I understand you're playing against Curry and Thompson, but you have two elite defenders that would be healthy, presumably, playing against those guys and obviously bringing offense production as well. So I don't think it's out of the realm for the Clippers. I think it's going to come down to matchups and who they end up playing. Same thing with Nuggets. But, when I look at this list, I'm surprised that the Jazz have as high of odds as they do, only because it feels like they're always that team, that really good regular season team, but then playoff time comes in and they kind of get exposed a little bit. So if I were to take anyone on this board, I do like the Nuggets because they get Michael Porter Jr. back and some other guys healthy back. I do think with Jokic, I think they can be a dangerous threat in the West.
Anybody for you here, Spence?
Oh, I actually think the Jazz are decent value there at 6-1 with Mitchell and Gobert back healthy. They look really nice right now. I know they've had their struggles in the postseason, but I feel like they've got more experience now, so I think they could be a team that might be a little bit slept on. The last couple of years they had high expectations and didn't live up to them. So I'm thinking this might be the year they could get it done. And I also kind of like the Mavericks at 18-1. I mean, not like something I throw a bunch of money on, but I feel like I'd much rather them there than the Lakers. The Lakers, you're just throwing your money away, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Lakers, just because the Lakers are worse odds than the Mavericks, I wouldn't put any money on either one of them. I love Luka. I love watching him play. I don't have any faith that team could get through 4 tough rounds. I don't know about you, or I guess in this case 3 tough rounds to get to the finals. I don't think the defense is good enough. I think the shooting comes and goes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like either one of those teams at that.
Yeah,
price.
that's the Kristaps trade. I feel like was actually underrated. Like at first, I was like, why'd they just give up Kristaps like that? But Dinwiddie's pretty good, and he's somebody that should be able to help. But they needed more scoring off the bench and more an intense player like that. Like he's somebody that I think will fit in well there. I'm not predicting them to go to the finals, but with Luka balling, I mean, they because anything's possible. But yeah, I feel like that Kristaps move it looked strange on paper, but it made sense. I think they'll actually be a better team without him.
Yeah, I just don't know that they are, NBA Finals level quality, but we'll see. One advantage they have is that it looks like they're going to avoid the play-in tournament anyway. So, hey, I do want to look at now some of the teams a little lower on the board, not likely to win an NBA Finals, but are they going to be in the dance? And one of those teams is the Pelicans, and that's why Caesar Sportsbook does have these odds to make the playoffs. Now, who would have thought before the year Minnesota Timberwolves minus 500 to make it in? They're looking great. Probably looking at a 7 seed in the West, which means they would need to win 1 play-in game, but they would get it at home, and actually they would have 2 chances at it. They'd just win 1 out of 2, both at home. And so that's why those odds are looking good. Brooklyn's in the same boat. I mean, I talked about this. There's no guarantee that team makes it. In fact, right now, I think they may even be the 8th seed, meaning they would have to be on the road for their first play-in game. Toronto likely to make it. Clippers better than even money. And then you get into, the next 2 teams here, guys, are obviously looking back to the beginning of the season, huge surprises. The Lakers, less than 50-50 according to the odds to make the playoffs, and the Hawks, well less than 50-50 to make the playoffs. That, by the way, Caesars does have no odds on these as well. So if you think, hey, they're not going to make the playoffs, you can go and look. The odds are obviously there's VIG involved, but if you think, hey, the Lakers are not going to make it, you can go get it. I think at minus 140 to say, hey, or minus 150 maybe to say they will not make it. And then the team at the bottom there, the Pelicans, 5.5 to 1 to make it. Any thoughts there, Devin? I mean, I think I think the Pelicans can make the play-in. But just to be clear, these odds are to get out of the play-in and into the actual playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, really, them making the playoffs is going to be contingent on Zion Williamson is going to play again this year. And at this point, we don't even know, what's going on with that
That's a no.
situation.
I'll believe it
I
when I
mean,
see it.
as the team is currently constructed, and I think we're going to just talk about that probably going forward, I don't think this is a playoff team. They can certainly get in the play-in and have some things go their way down the stretch of the season. It's very possible, but in terms of them actually making the playoffs, I don't know if it really suits them well to make the playoffs, in my opinion, because of just I know it's going to be a lot on CJ McCollum's shoulders, Brandon Ingram. I mean, they have the two scores that can make things interesting, but in terms of, the youth of this team and just some of the inexperience, I just don't think they're quite there yet to be a playoff team.
I'll disagree with you on one point just because I think for a guy like Brandon Ingram, it would be great just to kind of taste the playoffs. Just get in. Okay, maybe you get swept, you lose in 5 games to Phoenix or whoever you end up playing. But just get in and taste it so that the next time you get there, you're not experiencing everything for the first time because that is a different atmosphere. Now, just as a reminder to people who may not remember the way the play-in tournament works, if you are the 10 seed, which right now, I think that's the only thing that's realistic for the Pelicans to get. They're like 2 games behind Portland for the 10 seed. If you are the 10 seed, you have to go on the road to the number 9 seed and win. And then if you win that, you have to go on the road again a couple nights later and play whoever lost the game between 7 and 8 and win that game on the road. And so right now that would mean, say, I think the Lakers are the 9 seed right now. So it'd mean going to LA, beating the Lakers, and then the Clippers and Timberwolves would play. And whoever lost that game would then host whoever won between the Lakers and Pelicans for the final playoff spot. So it would mean winning 2 road games, maybe both LA teams. You'd have to win 2 games at Crypto.com Arena, the stupidly named downtown Los Angeles arena, Staples Center, for those of us who remember it that way. I just not very likely. I mean, again, like you said, Devin, the pie in the sky hope is somehow Zion Williamson has his Willis Reed moment and comes out and all of a sudden is dominant. I just don't think you can count on that. The other thing I'll say is if you beat the Lakers in that situation, though, and knock them out of the playoffs, the Lakers get into the lottery. And if the Lakers have a top 10 pick, that pick conveys to the Pelicans this year. And so more help could be on the way or more trade chips as the Pels continue to try to retool this roster. Very interesting situation, Spencer, for the Pels.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they'll because I was like, man, this is to make the play, and I'd go bet on that right now. But yeah, if it's to get out of the play, and then that's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough there. But I'd still maybe take a shot on it because I feel like even without Zion, if McCollum and Ingram can gel together, so far McCollum's taken over as the lead dog, but I think Ingram, he needs to share a little more. Him and Ingram have got to be a little more equal. I feel like right now it's been too much McCollum and not enough Ingram. But if they can work together better here down the stretch, which I think they will, I think it's just a chemistry thing. Once they can get the chemistry down, I mean, without Zion, they're not going to get out the first round. But without Zion, I think they could possibly knock off those LA teams, especially if neither of them can get healthy.
Yeah, and that's the thing is these other teams all have problems too. That's why they're in the play-in. But yeah, if you'd like to bet on those to make the playoffs odds, go to NOLA.com/Caesars or to your Caesar Sportsbook app, and they do have odds on yes and no for all those teams and a few more. I left some of them off. Some of them are, real long odds. The Spurs, for instance, are I think more than 10-1 to make the playoffs. Teams like that, so they are up there. Last thing I want to do as we do our NBA reset here, coming out of the All-Star break, the MVP. Devin Jackson, who is your MVP choice? It's like a 3-headed race right now, or do you like somebody further down the board?
I like Joel Embiid to win MVP. I just think the way he's playing right now is as dominant from a big man as we've seen. Obviously, I know Jokic won last year, but I like Joel Embiid to win personally. But if I were looking at a betting perspective, I might put a few dollars down on Stephen Curry. Because if he has a really, really hot stretch of the end of the season, I think, and he wins some marquee matchups that they have coming up, I think he can make a case to jump up in the odds and make a run for it at the very least. I do think with Giannis and Jokic, since they both have won MVP, I do think they'll probably lean towards Joel Embiid and kind of the narrative shift, especially if they start playing extremely well with James Harden in the fold. I think that'll help his case as well if he continues to be the lead dog when he joins the 76ers. But I think Steph Curry is someone to watch because he could explode, over the next couple of weeks, and we could be having a different conversation in a few weeks as well.
Yeah, Embiid's obviously been fantastic. I'll beat the drum for Jokic all year long. I mean, I think if you look at – we talked about those Christian's another Nikola Stan like I am. If you look at efficiency numbers and offensive PER rating and things like that, Jokic's raw numbers are just as good as Embiid and Giannis, but his efficiency numbers are better. And he, quite frankly, is dragging along a much worse roster in Denver than Embiid is in Philly or Giannis is in Milwaukee, and is still going to easily make the playoffs, not have to mess with the play, and possibly, as we said, get healthy. So I love Jokic here. How about you, Spencer? I mean, it's a three-headed race. Are you in the Giannis train since Devin said Embiid and I said Jokic?
I'm probably more on the Embiid train because I think it's more like the narrative thing. Like if the Sixers can keep this going, like they're gonna want to give it to Embiid. Like they always want a new face to do it. I mean, these are all worthy candidates, no doubt. I feel like Embiid though is the rightful favorite because he's just been so dominant as a big man and what he can do. I mean, Jokic is similar in that centers being able to stretch the floor, but I just think Embiid especially with Harden, they kind of stripped the roster down some. So it's like, if anything, the overall roster might be worse. So I feel like if he can keep this up, then he can make the case. Well, he had to kind of, work with a new group and was still playing at that elite level. So I'm thinking him as of now. And I also kind of like Ja Morant there at the 13-1. I don't think he'll able to do it, but I like those odds because I mean what he's done with Memphis this year has been spectacular, and every time you think they're going to fall off, they just keep playing good. Like they just keep getting it done, and Morant just continues to pour in points and buckets and assists, all that. He's incredible. So if I had to pick a long shot, he'd be my guy.
Yeah, he's been incredible, and if you look at most improved player odds, he is the heavy favorite to win that award. And I don't think he'll win the MVP just because typically you won't see a young guy in that situation get it, but certainly an incredible season. And another one of those like Zion regret things, like why did the Pelicans have to get the number 1 pick? If they had gotten the number 2 pick, they would have ended up with Morant. Maybe we're looking at a totally different story, but that's all. I mean, listen, you can play that game all day long. So that's our NBA season second half, third, I guess, season reset. There are some games tonight, including we have a pick on one, which we'll get to at the end of the show. Want to quickly get to college basketball. We're 5 weeks away from Final Four week in New Orleans, April 2nd and 4th for the semifinals and the championship. The favorites continue to get odds a little bit shorter here. You can read my road to NOLA in every Friday's Times Picayune or every Thursday on bet.NOLA.com. Right now, you got Gonzaga plus 425, Kentucky 8-1, and Arizona, whose coach, by the way, Tommy Lloyd, was an assistant at Gonzaga for 22 years. They're at plus 850. And then we kind of see it go down from there. Some familiar names, some powerhouse names, Kansas, Duke, Baylor, UCLA at the bottom of that list. Devin, you said you've been watching a lot of college basketball. Who has stuck out to you, whether on this list or not?
Actually, it's someone not on this list, and it's Arkansas. They have been red hot in the SEC, and if they didn't start off the season so poorly at 0-3, we might be having a different discussion. They're really emerging as a serious threat down the stretch of the season to catch Kentucky and Auburn. And the way they're playing right now, I think they're playing like the best team in the SEC, just based off how well they've been playing. They beat Auburn a couple weeks ago, I want to say, back can't remember the exact date.
2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
But they've just been winning. I mean, they started off 0-3 initially, losses to Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, but as of late, they have been playing red hot basketball. They had a 1-point loss. Alabama has really been their only loss. over the last 10, 12 games. And I'm very impressed with what they've brought to the table. So I might take a long shot odds on Arkansas, especially if they finish off the season. They have a big game on, I want to say it's on Saturday against Kentucky. So that'll be kind of a litmus test to see how well they're going to continue to play. But might put a few dollars down on Arkansas, especially if they finish off the season strong and have a strong performance in SEC tournament as well.
And I actually mentioned Arkansas in my Road to NOLA write-up today, so it's a good you mentioned that. And they're sitting at 80-1 to win the national title, so that would be a true long shot. But that's Devin's long shot recommendation. A couple of things I want to hit quick. We will obviously continue to keep track of the college basketball season. LSU almost came back and beat Kentucky last night. By the way, they're down by 15 with 3 minutes left and got it to within 4 and had the ball with like 20 seconds to go and couldn't hit a shot to make it a one-possession game. But valiant effort still counts as a loss in the record. So LSU with a little bit of work to do, I think, to get into the tournament yet. They play Missouri on Saturday. If they lose that one, all of a sudden you're starting to think about the bubble for a team that was a projected number 1 seed a month ago. So that would be trouble. As a Missouri graduate, I would say LSU's got nothing to worry about Saturday night, but we shall see. Spencer, Mr. NASCAR, you got a column coming out today on the Wise Power 400, which is at Fontana. Tell us first off how betting this will differ a little bit from betting at Daytona last week.
All right, yeah, I'm thinking this race will be a lot better chance of winning by betting on this one than as opposed to Daytona, because I'm pretty sure one of the guys on, like one of these top guys on this list is going to be the winner. I don't think it's going to be like Daytona where a rookie Austin Cindric comes up and wins it at, was it like 25-1, 30-1 odds. I just don't see that happening for this race. I'm pretty sure one of the top dogs is going to do it, and those guys near the front. I mean, the guy that stands out to me there is Kyle Busch, because he's a driver that's done really well at this track throughout his career, has 4 wins and an average finish of, I believe, 9.6, which is really good for a guy that's had a lot of starts at one track. Because normally you have a wreck or just a few off races there, but he's averaged a top 10 at this track. So he gets it done here. The new car, I don't think will be a big factor for him too much. The same with a lot of these guys. I mean, these guys they adjust. They know how to get it done. Ryan Blaney's a name that I like here, and I actually saw that Caesars gave him a boost to 12-1 as opposed to 10-1, and I like that. I don't know. Sometimes you got to tread lightly with those odds boosts, but that's one I like because Blaney was someone already kind of liked it 10-1 as he's had a good history here. He's a kind of driver that does well at bigger tracks. He did well last week at Daytona, came close to winning, and he'll be hungry. He was a little mad after the race. He congratulated Team Penske, but not Austin Cindric. I think he was a little upset that Cindric blocked him into the wall there at the checkered flag. So I'd say he's a good one. And then Alex Bowman at 14-1. The last time the Cup Series race there was 2020. They didn't race there last year because of COVID restrictions in California. And Bowman won the race in 2020. And he's the kind of driver that has the ability to pull off big wins. He last year won 4 races. He was a guy that people said, oh, he's the weak link at Hendrick Motorsports, but he's a proven winner and does well at this track.
Oh, there is your NASCAR rundown for Sunday's race at Fontana. And the golf tournament this week, the Honda Classic, these are live odds as of about 15, 20 minutes ago. Daniel Berger, the favorite, pretty heavy favorite at this point at plus 333. He's actually 1 stroke behind as they're just about wrapping up first-round play out there in Florida. Brooks Koepka, second choice right now. A couple of the tournament favorites going in, Sungjae Im and Louis Oosthuizen had bad days, and so the odds have shifted quite a bit. You see a whole group there at 28-1, and then it goes in from there. Kurt Kitayama, who sits there with Chris Kirk at 22-1, he is the leader right now at 6 under, so not expected to hang on to that lead through the weekend. But there is your live look at Honda Classic odds. Want to wrap up this At the Book show with a look at our best bets, and here's how we've done this week. Spencer, you mentioned you hit that nice parlay plus 264 on Monday and paired that with hey, we like it when the good graces shine down on us. Ohio State had to go to overtime, but they got the victory and the cover over Indiana. It doesn't happen a lot when they were actually behind in the final minute of that game, got it to overtime and covered the 6.5. And then we turned around and had some poor luck on Wednesday. Xavier went to triple overtime with Providence, and that plus 105 was underdogs. They go to triple overtime but couldn't get the job done. So that one is a loss. And then Shane Lowry, top 20 at the Honda Classic. That was a pick I made yesterday. He was even par for the day today. I think he's tied for 45th. So he's not out of the woods yet there, certainly, but has a lot of work to do over the next 3 days to get into the top 20s. That one's plus 220. But all things considered, we are positive for the week, which makes better than last week. And Spencer, your picks for today include the Golden State Warriors to win big over Portland.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to find a good NBA value, and this one really stuck out to me because of the fact that the Blazers are just their luck's bound to run out here, especially with Juice of Nurkic out, the Nurk alert, the big man. He's hurt again. It's a shame. I have him on my fantasy basketball team. He's so talented, so good when healthy, but now that he's hurt, I think the Blazers are going to fall off a cliff. And I think tonight it's gonna show in Golden State. I mean, with Curry shooting lights out, Thompson will be fresh off the All-Star break. I think they're going to – I mean, Josh Hart and those guys have been a great story with Portland, but I just don't see them being able to hang tonight. I just think Golden State is the prime opportunity for them to come out big and come out firing after the All-Star break, because they had been kind of scuffling prior to that. But now that Chris Paul's out, this is their chance to pounce and secure that 1 seed. And then Evan Mobley, I like him to go over 16.5 points because the Cavs have a lot of injuries right now. Darius Garland and Karis LeVert, their top 2 scorers, are hurt. And so I'm thinking against Detroit tonight will be a rookie showcase between Mobley and Cade Cunningham. So he's going to be extra motivated to show that he's to kind of put his stamp on Rookie of the Year. I believe he's the favorite right now for Rookie of the Year.
I think he's a heavy favorite, minus 400, in fact, at Caesars to win the Rookie of the Year. So that would be a nice cash there. And then you mentioned Kyle Busch at Fontana. Shop around for the best odds. Plus 850, I think you said, was at FanDuel. And,
right.
But those things change. Could be Caesars later in the week. Could be MGM. Could be DraftKings. You never know. Shop around, especially for those long shots. You can find some big differences. I found, in fact, I think Chris Kirk, who's in the top 5 at the Honda Classic, and I'm going to forget which book was which, but there was one book where he was 50-1 to win the tournament, and I was going to bet him, and then I shopped around and found him at 70-1 at another book. And it's like, well, if I bet $3 on him, that's the difference. That's a $60 difference if he should happen to win just for shopping around. And so it does make a big difference to do that. Not just for futures, but even for individual games. Half a point here, a point there can make a big difference in these games. So that's our show for today. This has been At the Book. You guys have some final thoughts. Spencer, your final thoughts on this weekend to come in the sports world.
All righty. Yeah, looking forward to the NBA being back in action and, college basketball. It's getting toward the stretch there. I read your little road to the Final Four thing, and I was I got to say Iowa, I was impressed. I watched them. I was mad at them the other night because I picked Michigan State, but I was really impressed with Iowa. I think that's a team, they've got a lot of firepower. If they can stay hot shooting, that could be a team that could play spoiler in the tournament. So it's going to be interesting. The Big Ten is tough, but it'll be interesting to see how they do in the tournament. And, of course, the NASCAR race Sunday should be interesting, which will actually, a fun fact about that is, will be the last race at the current Auto Club Speedway configuration. I believe starting in either 23 or 20. I'm pretty sure, next year. Yeah, this is the last race. Then after that, it's going to be a short track. They're reconfiguring it to I think it's a half-mile short track, so it won't be the big 2-mile oval that it currently is.
Out in the California hills, you pass by it if you drive from LA to Vegas. It's like the only thing around for miles of mountains. So pretty cool setting out there for a NASCAR race. Devin Jackson, your final thoughts on the weekend to come.
Got another long shot out in the Conference USA, North Texas, the Mean Green of North Texas. Watch them over this weekend and going forward. I think after they built on the momentum of last year and winning in the tournament, I do think they're going to come back hungrier. And they haven't lost a game since January 6th. They're 20-4 on the season. So I'm looking forward to catching some of their game tonight. See if they're still looking like the same team they have been over the last month. They actually just beat UAB, the team they lost to back in January, the other night as well. So going to be looking forward to watching them going forward and seeing if they can make a Cinderella run come tournament time.
Absolutely. College basketball wrapping up conference tournaments in a couple of weeks. Then March Madness. We got golf. We got NASCAR. We have the NFL draft right around the corner. So stick with us here on bet.nola.com and go to nola.com/Caesars. Get your $300 bonus if you have not yet signed up for that Caesar Sportsbook app. Join the fun. Join the agony. Join the ecstasy. Everything that is sports betting. And we will be with you again on Lundi Gras is our next show, 4 o'clock on Monday for Bayou Bets. Until then, for Spencer Urquhart and Devin Jackson, I'm Zach Ewing. Have a good one, everybody.